So soy, become the motor. Hello folks, and welcome to Cardiff by the Sea, which is part of Encinitas in California. And here we are at the Coast Highway, getting ready to do a 20-minute little session with a tiny little pit stop that we do in the parking lot down by the beach, because we were asked so many questions. We get asked a lot of questions about what we're doing. And of course, if people are asking what we're doing when we're standing on top of a skateboard, that means that we're doing something radically new. Otherwise, they would recognize us as skateboarding. But of course, what they're looking at is the upper body engagement, and that is an upper body engagement that's behaving exactly like cross-country skiing. So notice how those arms are at 90 degrees. And we are not forward catching, so we're dropping the top of our body down upon the stroke, and that's called a stand-up spike stroke. And there's the beautiful Pacific on your left, and this is a mighty nice road. Many of you here are going to recognize it, of course, because you either drive here to go surfing or you're out riding your bike. And here's the other stroke in spikeboarding, and it's called a CXC stroke. And you're going to kick and spike on either side of the board, and that is what's going to propel you. So a little something is holding us up here, maybe a light that we're coming up across, and up we go. Yeah, sure enough, a little light for a Cardiff beach over there on your left, and off we go. Keep going over to Solana. We're going to go into Solana and just go in just about a quarter mile, half mile or so, flip a U-turn, and then come right back to Cardiff. And of course, the Coast Highway goes all the way up and down California, and you can take it all the way into San Diego. It'll run you straight into Torrey Pines, which we have some video on that, and you'll see us climbing that in stand-up spike and Cubillo cross. Had a little edit there. Might have been something in the road. We just cut it right out, and we continue showing this simple session here. Little blip, probably popped a little rock right there. And these are expert roads. Those of you that know the Coast Highway, you know that being out here requires a certain amount of education and endurance fitness, being able to keep yourself on the path. So don't come out here to learn spikeboarding. And if you are a surfer, this is going to help you with your fitness. It's going to really help you a lot with your footwork. So switch kicking is going to help surfers quite a bit if they're so inclined as to raise their heart rate and do cardio. If you don't like to do cardiovascular work of the kind similar to marathon running, triathloning, or road cycling, you may not enjoy spikeboarding. Although if you get on smaller loops, the distraction of loops and those kinds of things might tear your brain away from the cardiovascular work. But if you're an acrobat athlete, you're more than likely going to enjoy sticking with acrobat. But hey, a lot of cross training can be had with cardio in spikeboarding, because it is just like cross-country roller skiing. And did I just mention something that you never heard of? More than likely, because we as Americans, oh wow, what a pretty picture this is with the ocean there. We as Americans, we do not grow up with cross-country skiing. We haven't the slightest idea about it, and we certainly don't know that cross-country skiers racing in NCAA and the Olympics and at World Cup, they all roller ski, guys. So when they roller ski, they use a carbide spike tip at the end of their ski poles, and this is exactly what that skateboard spike has at the end of its shaft. So that is called a skateboard spike, and it's manufactured by the Soy company. And with it, you can spikeboard, which is to execute these two strokes that you've been watching, one after the next, combine, engage and unengage, and move through themselves and together. And of course, as you can see, there's a lot of one-arm action that happens in the Cubillo cross, and of course in stand-up spike, also one-arm action. And there's no forward catch, people, no forward catch at all. So we just met to take a little loop through this parking lot just to show some casual spikeboarding and just to see it, not having ever seen it before, and of course get a little better seaside action on the video. We're going to loop around a little shack back here, and then someone's going to say to us, "Hey, what are you doing?" And so we'll just show you that person, a young gal who was very curious about what we were doing and sort of rubbernecked all the way around. We knew she was going to kind of ask just by having a peek at her. She was doing a 360-degree turn as we came all the way around the parking lot. So here you grab a peek at her, and we said hello and gave her a card and encouraged her to find some young women to start. And she had been a cross-country skier as a child, so she really understood and got what we were up to, but she didn't know about roller skiing. Well, many people cross-country ski when they're younger, but they don't know anything about roller skiing. And here in San Diego and Los Angeles, you guys have cross-country skiing on snow, on groomed trails no less, in San Bernardino Mountains, really close, a place called Nordic Rim. Groomed trails, and they have a good 13 or 14 miles of cross-country skiing out there, and this is what's going to get you fit for it along with everything else. So if you don't like doing core work at the gym, you're going to enjoy spikeboarding quite a bit. And just as cyclists, here comes a cyclist now, hold their line, we do exactly the same. And also notice the technical garments worn by the cyclist. It's the same worn by inline speed skaters and of course by spikeboarding as well. You don't want to be a parachute, don't want to be capturing a lot of air. You want to wear fabric that's going to let you breathe. You're going to be sweating quite a bit. And also sooner or later, if you're doing well, even as an amateur, you're going to get sponsorship, just like amateur bike teams, they get sponsorship, and then sponsorship has to be put onto your uniform and easily photographed. It's very difficult to photograph a sponsor when you're flapping all over the wind. And those are the three reasons primarily that endurance athletes wear tech, but the biggest reasons are the performance aspect of it, most certainly. There you can see the two strokes connecting very well. Pay attention to when the feet are in the rear and the strokes connect, and that is when they most quickly connect. Boom, right there from the back. The stand-up spike stroke connects very quickly to the CXC, the Cubicross stroke. And the ambipedal nature of the sport might be blowing your mind a little bit. Please don't let it. Ambipedal switch kicking is far less complicated and much more accessible than the world knows. More or less, even if we began to teach switch kicking in this world for endurance, it would be just about as new as teaching spikeboarding. So the world does not come to the noble device known as the skateboard to switch kick. They come to do radical acrobat, the same as figure skating, and the same as parkour, and the same as BMX, aggressive radical acrobat. They come to their machines to defy gravity and execute exquisite aerial moves, and that's a wonderful thing. But the board can be treated very much like an endurance device, like 17-inch speed skates, like road bikes, like marathon running, the body itself. And you can focus entirely on just producing speed. There are people in this world who switch kick, and some of the fastest come here to San Diego. They used to do a marathon here. Marathon has since stopped, and there isn't that much education on switch kick. And spikeboarding, of course, connects the switch kick with the cross-country ski upper body kinesiology. As you can see there very clearly, there is no forward catch, and there is no ability other than to ski when you are on land, when you are using one arm. So to propel yourself with one arm is the act of skiing. So many of you may not realize that skiing for 6,000 years used one shaft. So the innovation of cross-country skiing in the form of spikeboarding is actually a return to one shaft where they had been for 6,000 years. We're going to flip a U-turn here in a moment, and then we're going to hammer back straight up to Cardiff. There's a little bit of a sled ride going back towards Cardiff, Had we not stopped and spoken to that young gal, there's our flipping our U-turn. As you can see, we're doing it on one leg, and notice how that foot offsets and heads over to the side of the rail to make that turn. Had we not stopped her, we wouldn't have run out of battery, and what we had intended to do was to go from Cardiff down to Solana Beach and then back up to Encinitas. And of course the low point would have been more or less slightly south of Cardiff. It's kind of like high side on both ends, but we ran out of battery a little bit. But this gives you a general idea of spikeboarding on the coast. It is absolutely delicious, but you do have to pay attention to the pavement there, and we had a bike in front of us, so taking a little extra precaution and going out left and right, although we are getting those things getting called out by the cycle in front of us, so we don't have to go over turbulence. So as you can see, the sport is completely symmetrical, and if you're thinking, what are the first steps to learning switch kick? The first steps are get yourself a kick ped scooter. We have nothing to do with the company whatsoever, but it is an adult scooter. It's going to run you probably about $250 and change with shipping, and once you're done with it, sell it, and sell it to the next guy for $40 cheaper, and then all the way on down the line, and you will just use the scooter as a switch kick device, and then be done with it, because scootering is a bit of a half of sport. Just to kick alone on a scooter is fine. You may want to keep a scooter. We actually keep our scooters because we do scooter from time to time. It's a good time wherever you are. It's nice to have them around the car, and whenever you don't have any wrist guards or you don't feel like getting on a board and having to cater to its navigational requirements, to jump on a scooter. And they also have some kick sled. They have a little sled kind of plate in the back that does brake, so if you ever want to get down hills and things like that, they're fine. But go ahead and buy a kick ped scooter. They're indestructible, they're super heavy duty, and they're made for adults. They also make child's scooters. If you have children, get them one of these scooters and begin to get them to switch kick evenly on both sides. And don't use the scooter like a scooter. What you want to do is not lean on the bars. You want to put all the weight on the quadricep and then keep it even, 5 to one side, 5 to the other, and slowly you'll begin to bring that switch kick to your scooter. So make sure you take a peek at some of the videos that we have. We have a lot of videos that demonstrate what I've just said, and that's how you learn your switch kick. Once you have your switch kick, every other day you're out stand-up spiking. And while you're stand-up spiking, you're developing all your ski muscles. And slowly you'll begin to develop your lats and your core, and you'll develop so much, in fact, that you'll be able to stand up spike hills and mountains. So make sure you take a look at some of our videos. We stand up spike mountains in about 90 minutes or so. Some of the biggest mountains in the country, everything from Whiteface, the Latigo Canyon Road, to Greylock in Massachusetts. And we're going to get ready to summit Palomar this summer. And stand-up spike's mighty powerful. So you develop your stand-up spike stroke, and from there you start finishing your stand-up spike workouts, 10 minutes of one arm, and slowly you develop one arm, and then you begin to synchronize your CXC stroke that you're watching right there. So folks, it's a mighty fine stroke to learn, and you're going to kick it from the front and from the back with both feet. So there is complete symmetry to the sport. Of course, if you practice it asymmetrically, you would run into problems of a muscular variety, probably in the lower back, or you could develop a hamstring, hamstring and glute issues if you don't kick from the front and from the back equally. So the push and the pull of the ligaments all need to be completely even for the body to be happy. So as you can see, there's plenty of space out here on this coast highway, but you do need to make sure that you're staying in control of your gear at all times, and you are not a hazard to others nor to yourself. Stay out on bike paths and the like until you're ready to come out here. Of course, all you locals know the record of the Coastal Highway there. And this fellow back here with the beach hat, he saw us go by and hadn't noticed that when we were spiking, but made him do a pretty big 180 to see what the heck was going on. And what's going on is skiing, folks, and skiing is skiing is skiing. And in conjunction, the lower body with the upper body together, gliding across the surface of the earth, makes for skiing. That's the definition of skiing, to use your upper body and your lower body and to use it to propel yourself to glide across the earth's surface. And skiing is skiing. Skiing's been going on for years, decades, with roller skiing, and skiing has been going on for thousands of years on snow, of course, and the movements are exactly identical on snow and wheels. And the only thing that you're looking at that's different here is waist down. That is it. Waist down, you're looking at different kinesiology connected with a skier's upper body. So it's a little bit of construction all over the place here, and trying to figure out how to get around here and keep everybody safe. And pop, up we go, right around that construction, no problem. And we're almost here at Cardiff. So hopefully you've learned a little bit about spikeboarding and how similar it is to cycling in regards to executed workouts. You didn't see a triple axle, you didn't see a jump or a flip or even skating backwards, just spiking forward and keeping your technical proficiency as high as it can in spikeboarding sport, and gives you a full body workout, strength, endurance, plus balance, and constant core, and of course hand-eye coordination like crazy. And God knows what it's doing to your neurology. Who knows? Because nobody studied it in university. So if anybody out there knows human kinetic researchers, please send them to us and show them this new human propulsion that can definitely generate high VO2 max with bilateral limb execution. There's never been a stroke that was doing that full body ever before, so we certainly think it merits some study. If you're soccer players, lacrosse players, football players, baseball players, hey, stop going to the gym and start spikeboarding. You're going to enjoy yourself quite a bit. That's why we made the sport. So certainly you want to do a little weight training. Why not? A couple months a year. Folks, you're back in Cardiff. Thanks so much for tuning in. Really appreciate it. The sport of balanced strength. Spike hard, spike often, spikeboarding. And we'll see you at the next one, folks. Thanks a lot. Be well.